is View from the Dugout. This, of course, is Art Howe, former Astros manager, Astros player. Art, we really appreciate you joining us here at our beautiful KPRC Channel 2 building, and we're looking forward to talking Astros baseball. The playoffs are about to begin.
Finally, you know, everybody's been waiting for this to get underway. Seems like at least 4 of the 5 teams in the American League, everybody kind of knew who it was going to be. Here they are. And now it's up to the Astros to pick up where they left off last year.
That's what they've been talking about heading into this season, and then made it all the way through the season right in that very spot. Right here from this very desk, we're going to be doing pregame coverage, in-game coverage, and post-game coverage all throughout the postseason on our Facebook page. And, of course, right there on click2houston.com, we'll be streaming this coverage for both pre- and post-game. Definitely want you to join us in that conversation. We'll ask you for your help on some of the things that play out in this game. But as we get ready for Game 1, Art, I think you know with these two pitching staffs, we should see excellence all the way through, none more so than a Corey Kluber, Justin Verlander matchup to get it all started.
Doesn't get any better than that. 2 of the best pitchers in all of baseball going head-to-head, and veterans in the postseason, so they both know how to handle the pressure. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out. But the bullpens, I think, are the difference in these two teams. You know, the Astros bullpen, on paper anyways, looks much stronger than Cleveland's bullpen.
Yeah, kind of breaking down the two teams we'll get to in a minute, but we definitely should start there and maybe start with what A.J. Hinch told everybody yesterday. They made it all official with the release of the 25-man ALDS roster. Again, you can change those rosters as you get to each successive round, but they made some changes with their bullpen. Hector Rondon, not on this roster. Brad Peacock, Joe Smith, not a part of this 25-man team.
Yeah, it's kind of a little surprise when you keep a couple of youngsters out there to help the club. You know, the James young man just throwing the heck out of the ball. Power arm, throws nothing but strikes, has done a great job since he's come up with the Astros. So obviously AJ feels a lot of confidence in using this young man. He looks like he can handle the situation. He's done it so far, so why not? There's a kind of guy you can bring in the middle of the game and get a big strikeout if you need it.
Yeah, obviously you kind of look back. I know the team hates doing it, but you do look back at last year's postseason. That seemed to be, if there was going to be something in the way, it was going to be a bullpen that clearly A.J. didn't trust. That's why he was using his starters so often. They've made a lot of changes to make sure that wasn't the case, and maybe you start at the back end now. Roberto Osuna to close, and handing him the ball usually is Ryan Presley, and they've been phenomenal.
Yeah, they have been outstanding. The tail end of that bullpen, you know, those 2 acquisitions for the Astros fairly later in the season really have picked up the whole bullpen. But, you know, AJ's situation, this is the toughest time of the year for a manager because there's 3 or 4 veterans that he's left off his roster in the first round, and it's tough to do. You know, these guys help you get there. Oh, I've been there, and you know, they've helped you get there. You know, and it's really hard to pull the plug on them and explain to them. But the good thing is that hopefully they win this series, they can change the roster for the next series, and maybe a couple of those guys will be added. You never know.
Yeah, with all the analytics the Astros like to use, that's another thing they specifically talked about. Some of these matchups they believe lends a little bit better to maybe Will Harris and the stuff he has. Maybe if you're facing the Yankees or Red Sox. If you get past the Indians, there's different situations there. Carlos Correa, able to get back out there at the end of the season, got his 4 days off. What do you expect from Correa in this series?
Well, I think he's going to feel much better. The 4 days off are huge for him. It was obvious his swing wasn't quite there since he came back from the injury. Anytime you miss a month in the middle of the season, I don't care who it is, hitting's timing, and you're going to lose your timing. It's taken him a while to kind of get it back. I think he's got a great approach to it, that the regular season's over. This is a new season. He's ready to go. I think those 4 days off will really help his back out. Hopefully it'll be the Carlos Correa that we're used to seeing swing the bat. Yeah,
Jeff Luhnow said something interesting yesterday saying, you know, if Carlos Correa isn't at his best, can we win? I don't know. If Carlos Correa is at his best, we will win. I get the sense the team really feels that way. They've gotten this far with so little from him in the second part of the season. They feel like, well, if he's in and he's what he was, we're good to go.
Well, he's a dominant kind of player. He's a game changer. When he comes to the plate, he can hit the ball at the ballpark in any direction, give you a quality at bat, drive in runs, steal you a base sometimes if you need it. But there's nothing on the field that he can't do. But when you look at the 2 rosters, at least for me, I know the pitching staffs, the rotations are pretty even. I mean, you look at the rotation for the Indians, it's pretty darn solid. But on the field, player by player, I take the Astros any day of the week. Their defense is better. Their offense is better in almost every position. So, and the fact that they got Kipnis, he's a transported second baseman to center field.
Right.
You know, they did play him out in center the last 3 weeks, which helped because they clinched so early they could afford to do that. But, you know, you compare him with George Springer, you know, Springer's been a center fielder his whole career. He can go get him. Kipnis might be a little question mark out there.
Yep.
The arms, Reddick's got a cannon. George has a cannon. You know, whoever, you know, Marisnik, he's probably the best center fielder in the game.
I love hearing that because that is totally correct, 100% accurate.
Kid can go get him and play that position like there's no tomorrow. But I just like position by position, I think the Astros have the nod.
Well, you kind of went through it all, and nobody ever talks about it. The Astros set a record for fewest errors in franchise history this season. I do think that plays a role. Clearly, they do a lot of shifting and putting players in different positions, but their fielding, just the individual caliber talent of their fielders, their arms, can make a difference in this series.
Oh, they definitely will. I mean, outstanding defense, tremendous range on every player that they have on the field. They all have speed. They all can go get the ball. And in the infield, you know, I don't know if there's a better infielder in baseball. I mean, they catch anything they get to. They've got tremendous range. And the analytics with all the shifting and that, they take a ton of hits away from teams. So, and this pitching staff can pitch to the shift. You know, that's something that people don't realize. Pitchers have to know where the infielders are behind them. You don't want to pitch away when they're playing the guy to pull. So they have the capability to make their pitches, make the hitters hit the ball in the direction where their defense is. So that pays off in the long run.
Again, all that we're doing here, very interactive. Checking out Facebook right here. Got Twitter going right here. So your Ask Art Howe hashtag, Ask Wex hashtag, and again, all your comments here. I already have a question about Correa. He's penciled in the 6th spot in the order today.
Well, I think he's probably going to have to prove that he's back healthy. And I don't blame AJ for doing that. That's basically what they were doing towards the end of the year when he was struggling. So until he shows that he's swinging the bat again, I think it's a wise move for AJ to do that because everybody else in front of him is swinging the heck out of it.
And one other thing defensively we could mention, they made this other little move, added a catcher, a backup catcher right before the trade deadline. Did not get a whole lot of notoriety at the time. Clearly it has. Martin Maldonado is a Game 1 ALDS starter catching Justin Verlander today.
Well, this kid, he shuts down the running game.
Yep.
I'll tell you that. What an arm he has. Quick release, power arm, accurate throwing the ball to second base. But he does a heck of a job behind the dish, too. He blocks balls extremely well. He's really a total defensive catcher. Offensively, he's swung the bat probably better than the Astros could have expected. He's got some big hits for them down the stretch. So I think they're in good hands behind there. And, you know, McCann, you know, solid veteran. When he gets in there, you know he's going to do a solid job for you and swing the bat extremely well. He's starting to swing it a little bit better here towards the end. He hit a home run here at the very end of the season, so hopefully his offense is ready.
Yeah, I think his in-season surgery proved to be very valuable. He says he hasn't, not just does he feel better this year, he said he hasn't felt this good in years. So we're heading into Game 1 as we get set to wrap this up. And again, we'll be back throughout the game, and then again live for our post-game coverage. Corey Kluber faced the Astros twice this year, had a 1.35 ERA against them. Justin Verlander did not see the Indians team this season. How important is Game 1 to each team if they want to win this series?
Oh, it's always huge. You want to get that first game because, you know, now you can afford to even let one get away from you if you don't do well down the road. But, you know, getting the advantage for Cleveland to come into Houston and get that first win, that'd be huge because then that means they have home field advantage. On the other hand, the Astros want to hold that advantage. They got their best guy on the mound. I like their chances.
Well, just last thing, you mentioned home field advantage. What kind of stock do you put in what the Astros did during the regular season where they were virtually unbeatable on the road, played better at home later in the year, but it clearly was not where they were at their best?
Well, that was really strange.
Yeah.
It was a strange phenomenon, really. I mean, they play better on the road than you did at home. But as you said, they were starting to pick it up towards the end of the year at home. And I think in the postseason, you know, the fact that both these teams are kind of used to the postseason, you don't know which way it's going to go that way. But if the Astros went all the way last year, they know what it takes to get it done. Cleveland doesn't quite know that yet. So hopefully that's an edge for the Astros going into this game. You know, get that first 3 outs and let the offense go to work.
I think that's why Justin Verlander is your Game 1 starter. While many of the guys around the country are looking at the Yankees and Red Sox, you kind of mentioned it, Art, The Indians were in the World Series 2 years ago. They had the best record in baseball, or in the American League last year, and now the Astros are the defending champions right there with their franchise best team this year. This matchup probably not getting as much, I guess, love nationally as it probably should.
It should get much more love because whoever comes out of this series is going to win it all.
How about that? Right before we get set for first pitch of Game 1, and of course Randy and Laney are out there for all of our coverage throughout the rest of the afternoon. Art Howe here with me. You can find us again here throughout the game on click2houston.com and of course on our KPRC2 Facebook page as well. Definitely want your comments throughout the afternoon, and we'll integrate those into our coverage throughout the day. But keep it right here. Coming back at you after the game. This is the view from the dugout. Thanks for joining us.